You can tell we're a little bit drained from this game after all this time.
It's hard for me to give a really good critique on this because this is a game that's very nostalgic for me, and in fact it was the first video game I've ever played in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this game has been a part of my life since I was a small child.
Right.
As an adult, I see some of the flaws, like the camera angle definitely is hard to deal with, things that I didn't notice previously because I didn't have something better to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
I think the story's pretty fun. I mean, it's not particularly deep, but it's kind of not meant to be.
Right.
So, still really solid, you know. Would play again.
Like, would you suggest this to other people to play it too?
Yeah, in fact, I really want to get a copy of it again.
Just like, yeah.
I mean, isn't it like really hard to find now?
No.
Like
Well,
finding
it
a
was for,
legitimate
like,
cheap copy of this game?
It was for a while, but like actually I've been looking into it since I gave my copy away about 3 months ago. And it's only like $20.
Ah, even better. So it's like
Well,
almost
of course,
the same price when it started.
You know, they even have the remaster for 360.
Oh yeah, you have the HD versions, which are actually worse in my opinion because of the audio mixing is a lot worse.
No, I'm just gonna be that
And you have Big the Cat in every goddamn cutscene.
I'm gonna be that person and I'm just gonna get it on GameCube because gotta play it on the original station.
I know anyone that normally does a Let's Play on this game usually just plays the GameCube one, so I mean I like that. Or
There's
the
nothing really
PS one,
wrong.
the HD version.
I was gonna say there's nothing really wrong with the game state, like the PlayStation, the GameCube version. Sorry, like the graphics are what they are.
Personally,
They're
I
not
think it's
awful.
actually better than the other ones.
They're charming.
Other than like a slight minor touch up in graphics, I think there's really no difference between HD and this.
No, they're still pretty charming after all this time, really.
Yeah. So, I don't hate this game. I know it has its flaws. I don't think it's aged horribly, but I also don't think it's aged well at the same time. Like, there are a lot of things that start to stick out to you after a while that when you play this enough times, you just kind of notice and you pick up on it. They don't really detract from the game. They just kind of, they're like minor itches at best. Like, there's just like the smallest details that you probably don't even notice at first.
Smallest nitpicks.
Yeah, very, very small details. Like, they're not even remotely big or problems whatsoever. Like Kahlela said, the camera was always an issue. I really did hate that
I hate it.
and everything. And I don't think it's gotten any better since Sonic Adventure 1. But then again, I think it is, compared to Sonic Adventure 1, it is better. I did hate that the treasure hunting stages, the emerald locating part, that was just a bitch because there are times, again, like I mentioned throughout those stages, that like it gets pretty freaking linear and gets pretty freaking big. So, you know, when you have a radar that doesn't want to agree with you and then you have the hints being the opposite, it makes the entire thing way too frustrating. And honestly, I was like raging against this game on so many accounts because of them.
Oh my gosh, there's also that part where like if you're near an emerald that's not the one it wants you to find, it won't go off, which is really stupid.
Which is not necessarily bad either, because it doesn't mean you can't grab it, it just means it's not the one you want now. Or they want you to find
It would
now.
be nice if it would go off anytime you're near an emerald.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the mouth syncing is a lot better compared to Adventure.
Oh my
Oh
god.
god, that was atrocious.
That was awesome.
Oh, that was super freaking atrocious. The mouth all over the place was just...
The animations too, man.
Oh, no. By all accounts, the animation in this is significantly better than it was before, especially with it being motion capture.
I mean, granted, you know, the voice acting, it still has its charm, even though it's very cringy sometimes. Amy.
Well, I mean, it also has those moments too where like characters will break their neck all the time throughout this game, and I'm just like, what?
It's like Shadow, just 360s.
Like Shadow turns into an owl, Knuckles keeps breaking his neck to the side, and Nails or Rouge can't seem to keep her head down.
I don't think it detracts though. I think it kind of just adds like a fun little thing to find. It's kind of like finding the inconsistencies.
Like the graphical hiccups, yeah, like those things I kind of had fun with throughout this entire game. Like, honestly, compared to Adventure 1 and compared to Adventure 2 here, like, where Adventure 1 there was a lot of issues because the camera and the way that things were set up and placement with the enemies. Here, I only made like my problems because of like my own mistakes of like falling on the platform and just kind of like not paying attention, or I thought something was somewhere when it was somewhere else, and that was always one of my bigger flaws when it came to this game. It's like, I think I know it's somewhere, but it's not there. It's actually somewhere a little further or back before, and you gotta backpedal a little bit and everything. But I like the game. The story, however. The story, however, I have so many nitpicks to go on about. First of all, Rouge works for Gun, this world's equivalent of the military. Same people that are hunting down Sonic because they're mistaking him, because they think he's the one that's doing anything. Like, she works for these people. Why does she get trapped in a vault in the military base that they're already going into? Why doesn't she just get the emerald from them, say, hey, this is for the mission, give me the damn emerald, let's do this thing, and I'm like trying to do my job here. Why are they trying to kill her, no less? Everything. It's like, I get it. If you're a spy, you don't want to give away your cover and you want to make it a believable fight, but these people are trying to kill this girl, and they work for her. So I'm just like, what was the point? On top of that, I now understand why some people would mistake Shadow for Sonic and everything. Honestly, after thinking about it long enough and like looking up enough critiques to kind of get the idea, it was like, prior to this, who was the only hedgehog around besides Amy? I'm asking you. Exactly. So when you're in a world where you've seen one blue anthropomorphic hedgehog who can transform at will and goes at super speed all the time and is dark out, you're probably going to think it's like Sonic. You don't think that there's a second hedgehog, so it makes sense that they thought it was him. What doesn't make sense is when it's in broad daylight. And more so when it's a character that they know.
And, I mean, is everyone in this game like colorblind? Because there are parts where they're standing still.
Well, I mean, it kind of fixes itself here and there. Like, Eggman figured it out at the beginning, and then Amy figured it out after a few seconds when she finds Shadow the first time. Tails never falls for it, and Rouge, she already works for these people, and she's on the dark side. She knows it's not Sonic.
Well, Miles is a smart.
And then Knuckles just doesn't give a fuck. Like, he does not give no shit.
And then later on, they added more hedgehogs.
Yeah, silver and metal. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of hedgehogs throughout this bitch, but. I mean, I kind of get it though. I get where the confusion may lie. I just don't understand how it happens during broad daylight amongst their own characters. But it's never like super bad as it's been before.
Yeah.
The thing, and as far as I know, this is the only time the military has hunted down Sonic because of this reason. I know Tails. What I did like was that Tails' arc is actually a continuation from Sonic Adventure when he's like growing up now, like becoming his own person and stuff. I like that they continued it on, so he's not depending on Sonic. Instead, he goes into a military base, bust out Sonic the Hedgehog, despite all the legal ramifications that go behind that, and just wipe the floor and shit. I like the fact that was going on. What I didn't like was that he was an Eggman clone and went in a mech suit the entire time. Despite there being a model of him and Eggman out of mech suits.
It would have been fun if there was an option to like remove them from the suits for certain parts of like levels.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, no, you've got a point there.
Make a remake.
Like if they did it, like there are certain parts that you can't pass it with the mech, so you have to jump out and fly. That would be smart. I would actually be down with that.
Like that would be a cool way to include the mech suit while still like using the character model.
But you can actually use Tails' like flight ability on some parts.
Yeah, like maybe it's like too tight, or you know.
Or maybe his mech suit can't fly that high, and then he can just kind of transform it away, like Iron Man it over to him later on.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I mean, believably they can. They just blew up the moon for shits and giggles. So.
I mean, they did a lot of shit in this game that doesn't make a lot of sense, honestly.
It's like
an Iron Man like suit wouldn't be that far fetched.
It's like a kaiju film. Nothing makes sense. All just the stuff.
Plus, how cool would it be for them to be like summoning the suit and then it's just like, there's the suit.
Well, I mean.
Do like a little transformation.
Sonic team, maybe.
Did he hint it?
Make it!
GameCube? No shit.
That moment where like the fans are making better plans than.
I mean, overall, I think this game was fun. I had a lot more fun with this than I did with Adventure 1, even though I did like Adventure 1. I like that it's instead of just like a bunch of hub worlds and an open world story, you can just, it's straightforward one to the next.
Yeah, it's a little more linear.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It tells you one thing, you go to the next, and it doesn't give you the option to try to change it. As far as stages go, that was an interesting thing for me to try to figure out here, is because where an adventure, like if you were in like Seashore Hill or whatever the stage is, that's Sonic Heroes, but if you're like on the beach and you want to go back or off to the left or off to the right and everything, you can find like goodies, like power-ups and stuff like that. Where here, you can't go too far away from that, because it wants you to go forward and just continue the way to the goal ring.
Yep.
Everything. I kind of had some issue with that, but it wasn't really like a deal breaker, honestly.
It didn't feel too forceful. Like I've played a couple of games that were linear like this, and it just felt like you must go point A, point B, point C. Like this one felt like there was a little bit of option.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. and everything. And then, honestly, this is personally what I think is the last 3D Dreamcast good adventure game in the series. And it doesn't really get much better until maybe Unleashed, and then Sonic Colors, and then Generations. But man, they were struggling after this. Like, they had no idea what the hell to do with Sonic beyond this point, and that really shows later on. I mean, would I be down with a Sonic Adventure 3?
Yeah.
Probably. If they could do it like this, yes.
With today's technology?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine imagine the new model for Sonic in a new adventure game like this.
They had so many cool worlds in this one too. Like, I really liked the variety.
I mean,
true.
With today's graphics, they could do anything right now.
Like, personally, if they did that, however, I would like them to slow it down. Like, because Sonic seems to go at the right speed here, but he goes too fast in later games. Like, because the games and most of the levels are designed around that idea of them using that speed thing that he keeps doing when you press the dash.
Yep.
And stuff, but I'd rather him go like this speed. That way I can always kind of see Sonic when he's running, as well as control how fast and where I'm going at all times. So if they could do something like this with the newer version of Sonic, as well as have some newer elements, as well as keep an interesting story, you have a good Sonic game. And I don't understand why that's so hard, because you did it in Unleashed, well, half of it, and then you did it in Sonic Colors, and then Generations did it even better. And that even had the old Sonic in it. It wasn't that difficult. I don't understand why they try to make Sonic's life a lot more difficult than it actually is in terms of games and stuff, because they just been hitting no notes with anything beyond this point. Especially after Boom.
Oh man.
I personally hate Boom. And I hear people say like Boom is getting better, and I'm just like,
I don't think so. It's still broken.
Overall, I could suggest this game to everybody. You need to try this game. I think it's absolutely mandatory. It needs to be in your Sonic collection.
And it's honestly just a fun game, like if you want to do like a level, you know, like a story mode kind of game. And also, it's got some really fun two-player games.
And plus, like, you know, kind of going back and playing games from like the early 2000s.
It's really fun at parties. I mean, I've definitely busted this game out a few times.
So have I.
And I had friends over, and I've never had any complaints. Like, a lot of people really like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be broken, but I think we already went into that when we did the weekend fight night. But no, I mean, like, this is a game I could probably suggest. Whether you're a Mario player, for me, I started out in Mario, but I ended up getting drawn to Sonic first and everything, which I find kind of ironic.
How funny. No, Sonic was always my first game.
Yeah, because I think my aunt had the Nintendo Mario game with the Duck Hunt Collect, like 2-pack on it.
Yeah.
I had played that, and I didn't really care much for it, but I was like, oh, this is nice.
But
then I played Sonic, I was like, oh my god, this is cool.
I went from Sonic to Spyro.
I went from Sonic to Frogger. Of all things.
I went from Sonic to anime games.
Oh, you like jumped the hell out of there.
I was given two games.
You yeeted yourself so far.
No, I was given 2 games for Christmas. One was Sonic and one was Tales of Symphonia.
Oh,
and they're both beloved.
And
I'm really sad that Tales of Symphonia didn't age well. Like, I tried playing it again on a big screen, and let me tell you, what a nightmare.
I think that, I mean...
Because I had like a little like itty bitty like little like computer screen for it forever.
I mean, if we ever get a sequel, hopefully, if we get a good development team to actually like take care of this, we will get a good solid.
I mean, it's been the Sega team for like ever, right?
Yeah, but you know, get a good development team that actually cares about it.
I agree. I mean, if they could do that, then if they can bring back a good Sonic game, then I would have faith in a Sonic movie as well. As it stands right now, I have no faith in either. But like, that's not to say that a Sonic game can't be good in the future. Honestly, I think they can. I think it just takes a lot more effort than whatever they put in, and that's the sad part because it's really not a bad game.
Honestly, the nice thing about Sonic is it's a little cheesy, and it's perfect.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be a little cheesy. I feel like sometimes people try to take it too seriously. It's like, no, just keep
Well,
the
in their
cheese.
defense, Sonic takes itself too seriously. Did you not see Shadow the Hedgehog? Like, okay, you probably
True.
did, but like Shadow the Hedgehog took itself way too seriously by having guns and edginess and
Damn Chaos Emerald.
Yeah, damn 4 Chaos Emerald. Because it's the subtitle. It emphasizes the 4, not the damn.
Yeah.
but it took itself way too seriously, and honestly, you don't have to. I think in Sonic, you need to be cheesy in order to have fun with the game, because that was kind of the point to begin with. It was a light-hearted game where you're supposed to go fast and stop a silly doctor who's trying to take over the world with robots and animals inside of it.
You're killing a blue zippy hedgehog. I mean,
like, how serious can you take this game?
You know, you got like your yellow two-tailed fox and your red echidna who
that doesn't even look like one.
Collects jewelry. So I mean,
6 pieces.
Like, there's certainly a lot of cheese.
Well, like, and it works for it. It was good with that, because there was like a lot of like characters that kind of like just rip off this game, right?
Yeah.
Like you had, I don't want to say Rayman, but you had a Crash Bandicoot that came right after this. You had fucking Starman. You had, I don't know, but there's like this weird red dot game that kind of did the same thing, like a red dot with sunglasses or something like that.
What I like now, because like with Sonic Mania, is they went back to the classic like 16-bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they actually continued the story.
And they retreaded like old levels, didn't they?
Yeah. But they added new stuff too.
Yeah, like little elements here and there. Which I think that's honestly a good thing for a game, like any game, whether it be
adding Mighty and
SBO.
No, I think it's Charmy.
Charmy was the bee. SBO was the armadillo. No, he was the little purple rhino with the fuck everything was.
No, Mighty was the armadillo.
Mighty was the armadillo.
There was another one.
It was a squirrel.
Oh yeah.
Ray.
Ray, yeah.
It was Ray.
Ray and Mighty are in the game.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking, man. Honestly, it's like I don't think any game needs to actually change from formula what it was before. I think they can actually do just fine if they stay with it. If they can just add little minor touches.
That's what they do with Mania.
Which is why Sonic Mania is so much fun.
That's why it was the perfect.
Like, it was already a good game before, then they brought those back and just like, what if we try adding this in there? Just a little salt, something in there. And then it's otherwise still the same game with just minor touches. Which I think almost any game, whether it be old or new, should actually do. Particularly old ones if they're going to bring them back.
Yeah.
Everything like they did with Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
And I have both of those.
Both of those games could have been brought back just fine by just simply changing the minor details, which they did, and that one took it in like that level and multiplied that by actually doing the whole thing. Yeah, like they made it much nicer that way. I mean, hamminess and cheesiness and bad story plot aside, I like that this was trying a lot better than its predecessors did, in my opinion. And I know that there's a lot of fans out there that don't think it was a good game, and you know what, you're free to not think so, okay? Like, you're free to have your opinions and think that one game is wrong or right or doing one better than the other.
It's like saying that Sonic 06 is like the best.
And I know there's probably like a few people out there that were like, you know what, I really did like Sonic 06. And I don't know what's wrong with those people, but they're free to like the game. No one's gonna judge you for it.
The game is just so broken, man.
Yeah, like
just honestly play video games that you play.
Yeah, like enjoy the game. There's nothing wrong
movies
with.
You like. Do what you like.
You have your opinion. You do you.
Yeah, there shouldn't be necessarily a real divider. Like, you shouldn't hate a person for liking this kind of game or another and everything. And there are a weird amount of people that do that. And that's what's wrong with the Sonic fandom, honestly.
Oh my god.
The fandom in general.
The fandom is terrible. Oh my god, the Sonic fandom is the worst because they don't know what the fuck they want. Like, they're all over the place. They're like, we want a classic Sonic, but we want a new Sonic. But like, we want a classic Sonic. They get a classic Sonic. Oh, he's just doing the same shit. We want a new Sonic. We got a new Sonic. Let's go back to formula. All right, well, let's have them both. And then it's like, all right, awesome, but let's make it short. Not awesome. Well, like, you guys are just...
And then they got forces and that.
They just want it to like live up to whatever their favorite game is. And they don't know what it is that they
I think it's
liked.
also the nostalgia factor.
The rose glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nostalgic rose glasses, as I refer to it as. Because I think that's what it is, too. And I admit, I fell into that trap before, too. Where, you know, because it was like the way it was, I automatically thought it was a better game or whatever, and I thought it needed more of that. But even like in this game, I think there's a lot of flaws in it, especially when I played it through with you guys and everything, and I like watch over the editing and stuff, and just like, yeah, there was a lot of shit wrong with this game and everything.
It's funny, it's like when I go back to playing like Devil May Cry for like the first 3, and like going back to play 5 and 4 as well, it's like 1 very bad. Everything, like all the...
Yeah, like you start to see the flaws start noticing and popping up out of nowhere.
I mean, granted, like 3 is still my favorite, but I also noticed like there's still flaws in there, but it's still good.
But yeah, I struggle to like take the nostalgia glass off and be like, is this a good game? Yeah. Is it a good game because I'm nostalgic about it? Also, yeah. It's still fun.
Well, that's what honestly I was trying to do during this entire gameplay, because I know I have my nostalgic moments in this game, especially with the Bio-Lizard, because I remember I spent my entire like Christmas weekend from high school, or not high school, middle school, playing that part of the game like for the longest time and not beating his ass because I kept dying. So like several days until I had super red eyes was just doing that. But you know, I also remember I was like, yeah, I hated this part. Why was this such a good game? And like even the treasure hunting parts and the Eggman and Tails parts, I had so many issues with all of that. I was like, I remember this being good. And for the most part, to me, it still is, but I just now, like, I can't go into it like, it's not perfect. Like, I'm not gonna say this game is amazing and by all standards, this is what it needs to be. I'm thinking that, like, it needs to have its flaws, but it needs to be playable and still needs to be fun. And that's honestly all it is with me, is just like, give me some effort. Give me some effort, make sure you tried, put some thought into it, give me a good game, that's all I ask for. And everything. And then as far as the game goes, like I gotta go in with these without the glasses on and tell you what's wrong with the game and what the problem is and like these things you can't do or can do, while at the same time telling you this is why I like the game and this is why you know, might want to be interested in it and everything. So for me personally, I recommend this game to everybody. You know, I want you to have it in your collection at some point. If not, get rid of it eventually, but enjoy the game altogether. It's not a bad game. It's honestly a very ambitious start or end to the Dreamcast series and everything. And then if you want to go beyond that, by all accounts do it. But don't try to shit in my face and tell me like this game is sucky just because you don't like a version of Sonic or whoever, or Amy in Jacob's case and Kahlela's case. Just,
I don't hate her, she says some stupid stuff. I guess that's true of all characters.
Honestly, in Amy's defense, I don't blame her. Like, you know,
I mean, she kind of steps really far out of the loop.
Like, she is a kid, so kinda. She is a kid.
Well, kinda.
Like, she is a kid in all continuity and everything. She is younger than Sonic, but older than Tails. So
I think as an adult, I've realized that Sonic is probably like this girl's like first crush. And like that kind of makes it a little bit more forgivable because
it is honestly because I think
is really hard.
He's got to be because they met in Sonic CD when he saved her, and that's how they met because he saved her from Metal Sonic.
I still like Sally, so fuck all y'all.
Sally ain't canon, so fuck you too, buddy.
It's canon to me, okay?
I mean, I can't blame Amy for her adolescence and annoyance, honestly, because it's not necessarily her fault for being that young, and she eventually does kind of become a better character later on.
I like her a lot more as an adult because, like, I kind of went through that stage, and I understand it more. Like, as a kid, I'm like, why is she so weird?
I like her in comics right now, honestly, because you know, there's a lot of shit happening, but she kind of takes the lead. Like, she grows up real quickly in the comics. Like, and I don't mean in terms of, like, aging. Like, they're still, like, 12 and 15 and
that's nice.
Whatever. But in the comics, Amy's a lot more tolerable. She becomes kind of, like, the head of, like, operations kind of ordeal and everything. Like, she ups it up so much better in the comics. And I wish that kind of writing was applied into the games because they seem to just think that Amy is just an annoying idiot who's infatuated with Sonic. And, you know, that's why gamers hate her so much, is because that's all she is.
I don't know why they wrote her into the game either, because it's not like she has levels.
Well, just like Tails, she and him are actually just supposed to be here for story plot purposes. Okay. She doesn't have any levels because she wasn't part of the game in the first place. She was there to move the story along.
Okay.
Which is why, like, she comes in and just pulls out a card and breaks Sonic out of jail.
Because I feel like maybe if she had levels, like, people would like her more.
Well, I mean, she is an adventure, and then she has it in Sonic Heroes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna try to wrap this up here and everything because I'm already on the last 0 minutes or whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So don't know what the next game is. I actually don't know exactly when we'll see Kahlela the next time. There's plenty of games to do, but she's out there. Watch her be in like Super Mario.
No way, never.
and everything, and she's like, oh, I really do love this game. But no, we got plenty of games to do. I don't know what the next one will be. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I hope you guys had fun watching us, even if we were a total mess and we missed a few parts. Sorry about that. With that said, I'm Ninja Monkey.
I'm Whorebath.
I'm still Kahlela.